Welcome back. In a campaign event this week, Republican governor candidate Tim Michels floated the idea of splitting up the Department of Natural Resources into two agencies. Then, in a sit-down interview with our political reporter, Will Kenneally, he suggests other agencies may be in for a shakeup as well. Here's their conversation.
So thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate
thanks.
it. Yeah, so looking at some of what you said earlier this week, how you want to make some changes to the DNR, looking at, small business and the economy like right now, what kind of changes would you do to reinvent agencies like the Department of Workforce Development or the Economic Development Corporation?
Yeah, every agency in state government is going to get a very thorough review from the governor's office. When I'm governor, and I know how to do this, we have 16 operating divisions at Michels. Every month, we do a formal review of each division, and every quarter, we do a deep dive of each operating division. I don't think anybody's done that in a long time here in Madison with our state agencies. Why should we do that? Because the taxpayers' money, $43.5 billion every year, are spent in the state budget through state agencies. Are we sure that they're all operating as efficiently as they can be, as economically, fiscally conservatively as they can be? I think the people deserve to know that their tax dollars are being spent wisely, efficiently, and effectively. So I'm going to review all the government agencies, the DNR, the Department of DOA, corrections, every single one of them. And I will be confident, and I hope the people of Wisconsin will be confident when I'm done, that their tax dollars are being used wisely and frugally and effectively, and that state government is running as efficiently as it possibly can.
So any, big changes like breaking up the DNR, for example, any kind of wholesale changes to something like WEDC?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that says it's okay for people to give me an answer like, that's the way we've always done it. That is not a good answer. In the business world, you can't do the things the same way you did them 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You always have to be innovating and updating and getting better, using technology, becoming more efficient and more productive. And state agencies need to be more productive.
And so you just kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm really fascinated by this kind of connotation of the customer. So when we look at some of those, economic development agencies, who do you see as the customer that they should be trying to bolster in Wisconsin?
No, the customers are the hardworking families of Wisconsin. That's the people who raised me, if you will. It's in my fabric. I was a young boy growing up in northern Dodge County, helped farmers bale hay and pick rocks. Farmers have a tremendous work ethic. 9 years old, my dad put a shovel in my hand, and I was raised, if you will, by some very hardworking men and women that have a tremendous work ethic and taught me things like, your word is your bond. I sign contracts at Michels that are this thick, but I know that the attorneys can shred those apart. But if I look you in the eye, and I shake your hand and I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's the type of person I am, and that's the type of people that we have all across Wisconsin. Those are the customers of state government. Those are the customers of state agencies. Those are the people right now that are frustrated because they don't feel like government is doing the job well enough. We are going to make state agencies so much more efficient, so much more effective, and we're going to get a better return on people's tax dollars for themselves, their kids, their communities, and that's going to change Wisconsin for generations to come.
So if we look at bringing in new customers to Wisconsin, right, attracting new workers and perhaps even younger workers, both attracting from out of state and then keeping those workers in the state, how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, so we are going to do massive tax reform once I'm governor. We're going to bring in all the smart people on taxes, on the numbers. We're going to put everything on the whiteboard. Nothing is sacred, and we're going to try and lower taxes as low as we possibly can. Why? Because we're going to make Wisconsin more competitive, even more competitive with other states. And we don't have to invent the wheel here. We know what works in other states, like Texas, like Tennessee, like Florida. People will want to move their businesses. They'll want to relocate their businesses to Wisconsin because we are going to be more competitive on a tax basis. We are going to also make Wisconsin more attractive for young people that are graduating from UW-Madison, from Marquette, from other schools all across Wisconsin, St. Norbert's, Lawrence, wherever. They're going to say, I think I'll stay in Wisconsin because there's a more favorable tax environment here. And veterans, when they get out of the service, they'll probably be more likely to return to Wisconsin, or other veterans say, I'm going to go to Wisconsin because there's a favorable tax rate there, and it's a great place to raise a family. We have 4 beautiful seasons, great communities, a great work ethic, great sports teams. Wisconsin has so much going for it. I see Wisconsin has so much potential. It needs proper leadership. And I believe Governor Evers and hundreds of thousands of people that I talk to in the 8 months I've been campaigning believe that we have weak leadership right now in Governor Evers. I'm going to bring bold, strong leadership to the governor's office. I'm going to put the hardworking, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens of Wisconsin first, and we are going to take Wisconsin to new heights, headed in the right direction. I'm going to put more money in people's pockets. We're going to have less crime in Wisconsin, and we're going to have better schools in Wisconsin.
Looking at the tax policy, what's that going to look like? Is it going to be, income tax, personal property tax?
Like I said, we're going to put everything on the table, everything on the whiteboard, and figure out how low we can get taxes. I certainly believe that we can lower income taxes right now. We will not raise taxes for anyone in the state of Wisconsin, but we do know right now that the people of Wisconsin are overtaxed. How do we know that? There's a $5.8 billion surplus. Tony Evers, he thinks that's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing because the people of Wisconsin have been overtaxed. So we're going to lower income tax. We're going to eliminate the personal property tax. We're going to look at all the tax code, figure out how we can make Wisconsin more competitive, more attractive, and put more money in people's pockets.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And coming up next, how a string of swatting threats nationwide finally made its way to Wisconsin. What an expert believes might be fueling it.